Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter Watches TV, where I watch all the TV shows and then I come over here and I react to them. And today, we're going to talk about the season finale of 1,000 Pound Sisters. I can't believe it's here. I cannot believe it's here. I actually looked and this season only got 7 episodes. And last season got 11 episodes, I think. It's also interesting because this season started in the spring and last season started in the fall. So I have a feeling they're going to start back up again in the fall around Amy's wedding. I have a feeling, I don't know anything about that. Maybe there's articles about that. I have no idea. This is just my conspiracy speculation that around October, late September, October, they are going to bring back I think it's the 8th season of 1,000 Pound Sisters for Amy's upcoming wedding, because I think they ended it in a way to get everybody like, what is going on? Are Amy and Tammy, are they good? Are they going to have us falling out? It's very interesting to me how it ended, and we'll get to this in just a second, but it ended with Amy and Tammy on very bad terms. And it actually, this last episode was really about Tammy leaving the hospital, Tammy's reveal of her skin removal surgery, which she looks fantastic. I'm so happy for her. But they showed a lot of clips from like season 1 where it was like Amy and Tammy sitting together. There were a lot of discussions at the end of Tammy saying, I just want my sister back and I feel like she's changed. Tammy saying that she feels like, insinuates that she feels like Amy's jealous of her for her weight loss. Amy makes a comment at the end of it talking about you lose some weight and all of a sudden you feel like you can judge everybody. Amy says she feels like Tammy needs to be brought down a few notches and that she's the one that's going to do it. And that's how the season ends. I looked, and because I'd seen something about this online, Tammy and Amy do not follow each other anymore on social media. They don't follow each other anymore on Instagram. So I'm like, is there some huge falling out? Is this for marketing? Because they've done videos after the season has come out. You can tell because you can see that Tammy's had, and especially in her face, her skin removal surgery, and it's video of her and Amy sitting next to each other talking about this season. So I don't know, that had to have been filmed afterwards, which would then imply, if they're not following each other today, then since filming stopped, something huge happened. But the two issues this entire season have been Amy with her fiance, Brian, and wanting to get married at Waverly Hills Sanitarium, and none of the family wanting to go because they feel like it's evil and demonic, and Tammy's skin removal surgery. Those have been the two big things this season. So I have a feeling that this season and the next season will both be short, and they'll be like 7 season episodes, or 7 episode seasons. And I think the next one will be focused on Amy's wedding and who goes and all that kind of stuff, because we get some more answers about that in this episode. So I thought that I wanted to share that with you guys. They don't follow each other anymore. And I don't know if that's a marketing thing. I don't know if they really have had a falling out. I've really tried since I started doing the coverage of 1,000 Pound Sisters. I've really tried. I almost thought last night, like, reach out to Amy and ask her, but I don't know. I don't feel good about that. I just want to do my coverage of it, and, you know, and we'll find out what's happened. I want to watch it like you guys, you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm not a TV investigator. I'm a TV watcher. So anyway, it starts off with, Amy going off about saying that Chris and Amanda in Pittsburgh were belittling her and bullying her. She uses the words bullying and belittling. She said that, and they're waiting for Tammy to wake up out of the recovery from the surgery, and she said that when Tammy wakes up, she's leaving. Like, she's got an early flight. She's going back home to Kentucky. She is out of there. She said even if Tammy dies, they can't say that she didn't show up for her because she always shows up for Tammy, even though Tammy isn't going to come to her wedding, is what she says. And she said, I'll always be there for her, even though Tammy's not going to even come to my wedding. So they're at the hospital, Chris and Amy and Amanda, and they're waiting for Tammy to be done. Amy and Amanda aren't even talking at this point. I mean, it's really bad. And Chris, as you can tell, is just completely over the fighting. The doctors can't find, they're doing like a needle count after they do the surgery. I think it's like 40 needles or something. And they can't find one of the needles for the operation with Tammy. And so it's taking them longer. Amanda's like super tired. She got 2 hours of sleep driving there. She's super frustrated. So they had to go in there. They come out, they tell, Amanda's really, really tired. They're waiting, and the doctor comes out and says that he took 10.5 pounds off of, which is huge, off of Tammy. He explains the needle count to them, and Amanda says, do we need to go in there and find with a metal detector? Then after that, Amanda leaves and goes back to the hotel. She's like, I am so tired. She's like, I'm over it. I'm just over it. I'm going back to the hotel. So she leaves and dips out. And then the nurse comes in. Well, the nurse comes in and says it's going to be another 10 or 15 minutes. And right after she says that is when Amanda leaves. Amy is in the bathroom. So Amy doesn't hear the nurse come in. So then Chris looks at Amanda like, we've got 10 or 15 more minutes. You cannot wait for 10 or 15 more minutes, which I thought was strange too. So Amy comes back in. They're confused why Amanda left. Amy says that, because Amy like napped all day at the hotel, she says that Amanda could have taken a nap, but instead she decided to just make fun of people. Amy is really on this thing and pushing this whole narrative that they are all bullying her, okay? Later in the show, Amanda says, all of us siblings have always been like this, that we have always picked on each other. It's part of what makes the show so endearing, okay? Is that they constantly pick on each other, and that Amy always gets angry when anybody picks on her because she can dish it out, but she can't take it. We've seen that season after season. But this is where, you know, Amy said that she is not smoking marijuana anymore. And, you know, there's so many different theories on that as a person in recovery. I have witnessed people go through huge mood swings when they get off anything that has any kind of habit forming whatsoever, whether it's marijuana or caffeine or whatever. I almost don't know if it can't just be about Brian. I mean, I think Brian, her fiance, is such a weird dude. I think he is such a weird dude. But I don't know that it's just about Brian and the family not liking Brian. I think the family is trying really, really hard to embrace Brian as much as they can, because I think none of them really like him or think he's good for Amy and the boys. But there seems like there has to be something else going on with Amy. I also think it's interesting that later in the scene when Tammy comes over, Amy steps outside and you can tell, like, they catch the very end of it, that she's going outside to smoke. Amy, in about January, I think it was in January, was on a TikTok live with her son on her lap, and she got caught smoking a cigarette with her son on her lap. She made a commitment to her audience that I think it was around December that it happened, because it was her New Year's resolution that she was going to quit smoking. I even at that time reached out to Amy to talk to her about it, and I was like, you know, I'm like, this does not look good, Amy, blah, 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 whatever. And she's like, oh no, I'm going to quit. It's my New Year's resolution. That's how I'm going to talk to my audience about it, whatever. So she apparently promised her audience she was going to quit smoking, but they show her going outside. They've shown her a couple other times this season smoking too. It's like, TLC production, you need to get your shit together. Can you just show us the real deal? Can you please just show us what's really going on? Follow Amy. You are a reality show. They are getting paid for this. Follow Amy out. I am so over on the TLC shows. On any other channel, the cameras follow those people outside. Shannon Bedore had a full-on breakdown last season on Orange County. They followed her outside, okay? Amy gets in the camera and says, unplug me, take this camera off me. You know, all these people do that. Even on Love After Lockup, they'll like say, get this camera off me. The cameras keep on filming them. TLC shows are the only ones that when they say, stop filming me, they stop filming them. I want to see the real thing, or I am no longer invested in these shows. This is just bullshit at this point. So then Chris and Amy go back to see her. She's awake and alive, and she made it through. First thing she asks is, where is Amanda? And Amy says that Amanda, and so they tell her that she went back to the hotel to go sleep. Amy says that Amanda always says that she's there for everyone, but she couldn't even wait 5 more minutes for Tammy to wake up. And then right away, Amy goes, says something about, I came in here to see you because I'm leaving first thing tomorrow morning. And then Chris gets pissed. He's like, I don't know why Amy had to tell her 2 minutes out of surgery. I agree. I don't understand why she needed to. I mean, Tammy's like, what? I mean, she's in recovery. She's on pain meds. She's like, Amy's like, I'm leaving tomorrow. And she's like, what? I mean, I felt so bad for Tammy in that moment. I mean, it didn't have anything to do with Tammy. Then it shows Amy, and she's back in Kentucky with Brian. He picked her up in Nashville. And then she explains to him why she left, because she farted and Amanda said it was gross, and Amy's like, well, why can't I fart? Oh my God, everybody's mean to me. Because it's disgusting, okay? I know that the Slaytons don't understand this, but to the rest of the world, it is disgusting as grown adults when you are sitting in public places and you let out a fart that would rip the fucking doors off a room. It's disgusting, Amy, okay? It's funny for the context of a TV show when you and Tammy are sitting on a couch together. In a hospital waiting area, it's disgusting. It's foul, it lacks class, and it lacks maturity, okay? It makes you look like a 6-year-old child. It's disgusting. Fart jokes are not funny anymore at 50 years old, okay? Or 40 years old at 30 years old. They're stupid, okay? It's like the D's nuts jokes. It's not funny. And Amanda was saying, like, I mean, Amanda didn't even say anything. She just leaned over and she was like, my God, Amy. And then Amy, this is all over Amy farting, okay? Let's just put this in perspective. The whole family is bullying her because Amy chose to let out a fart that would kill, okay, 50 cows in a field. And she's pissed that the family leaned over and said it was disgusting. I'd have fucking looked at her if she was my sister and been like, girl, you need to take that shitty ass of yours outside in the hallway. That is disgusting, okay? And then she could say I was whatever. That is nasty. It is nasty. So anyway, so she's explaining it to Brian, and she goes, Amanda acts like her farts smell like chocolate and menage a trois. And Brian's like, I'm not really sure that that's what fits. She said in her mind, she's thinking, why was she there when Tammy won't even come to her wedding? She's like, what? She was at the hospital. She's like, why am I even here for Tammy when Tammy won't even come to my wedding? It all comes down to her wedding, right? And she says that Tammy texted her that morning, bitching at her for abandoning her and leaving her. Amy says she's not the black sheep in the family. She's the black flea of the family. She says she can't do anything right, and she doesn't even feel like she has any siblings anymore. Based on these two facts, okay? Per Amy. That nobody will come to her wedding at Waverly Sanitarium, okay, number one. Number two, that she farted in a room and her brother and sister thought it was disgusting. All right, now hold on that for a second, because we have spoken several episodes about Amy wanting to get married at Waverly Hills Sanitarium and the fact that nobody wants to come to Waverly Hills Sanitarium, okay? And so I actually looked it up, because later they go to a wedding venue. I actually looked it up to see about hosting a wedding at Waverly Sanitarium. Is it open year-round? No, the sanitarium is open during a specific season. The official tour season is March through August, though they sometimes offer tours, investigations, and events in the off-season. Private bookings are available after November with a minimum of 10 people. So even if you have an event there, it's closed on Halloween. It doesn't open until November, okay? I scanned the internet trying to find weddings at Waverly Hills Sanitarium. They don't have them there, okay? So Amy has distanced herself from her family, gotten pissed off at her family, all this shit for a wedding that can't even happen at Waverly Hills Sanitarium unless she has some in. She hasn't even called there. She says at one point, she goes, if they'll even let us have it there. I'm like, you are willing to have full-on fights and not have your family in your life anymore over the possibility? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could call Waverly Hills Sanitarium and say, I'm Amy Slayton from the show 1,000 Pound Sisters, and my fiance and I really want to get married there on Halloween. Would you be willing to have the wedding there? And they might be willing to for a very high price. But she hasn't even checked. And yet, this is her whole source of anger, that she threw out this fucking idea and nobody wants to go to her wedding at a closed down former insane asylum, okay? I mean, I think that we don't even call them that today, where people go do ghost hunting and things like that. You know, it's like, she doesn't understand that at all, but she isn't even willing to do the work to find out if she even can. So she's basing, there's no basis in reality for this whatsoever. Hey, Amy, that took me 5 minutes on Google, and I literally looked up, my friends have done a ghost hunt. My friends Melissa and Aaron went to Waverly Hills. I've talked about it in multiple videos, okay? They went there from like 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. They went with the ghost hunters. So, I mean, I'm sure you could probably call there and find out if you're even able to have a wedding, and let alone on Halloween, because you're so stuck on Halloween. So anyway, she goes on and on about this. Then it's 2 days after surgery, and Amanda apologized to Tammy and explained to her why she left and that she was tired, and Tammy totally understood. And I did think it was interesting that she understood that, but she didn't understand, like, Amy wanting to leave. Amy later says, I left because I didn't want to fight. And it does, I feel like this was the first episode where I feel like there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that us as the audience aren't being shown. Like, it seemed to me like there was just a lot of stuff we didn't see. I just didn't really understand it. I was like, what are we missing here? I don't, like, there seem to be arguments. Like, she understands why Amanda needed to leave, but she doesn't understand why Amy needs to leave. When Amanda was tired, and Amy was afraid of getting into a fight. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with Amy, but I think that's growth to show that she stepped away and left instead of fighting her sister like she did in Florida a few years ago. So the fact that she understood that Amanda went because she was tired versus Amy makes me think there's things behind the scenes that we are not even fully aware of. But of course, TLC kept from us the real arrest records of Amy Slayton Halterman, because she was also arrested for child endangerment. if the siblings have been having behind-the-scenes conversations about, we do not like this guy around your children, Amy. We're very concerned about this man around your children because you got a child endangerment charge and 2 possessions of substances, or 2 charges of possession of substances. But they just let Amy on the show get away with saying that she had a little bit of marijuana. This is where you have failed, production, okay? You have failed the show, you have failed the family, and I hope you do not feel like these children, like you have failed children on multiple other of your shows, TLC, okay? Because you're not showing us the real story. Because I have a feeling that Amanda, Misty, Chris, and Brittany, and maybe even Tammy, because Tammy loves those boys, have said, I am concerned for these boys' safety, okay? But we don't discuss that on the show, do we? We don't even discuss Michael anymore. You know, Michael got their wedding was a big deal with Amy picking out this dress one day, and then they had a wedding with 6 people at the fucking park, where they also had Caleb's celebration of life, and now Amy ruins an entire family over this funeral, or this wedding that she has to have at Waverly Hills. When every other celebration that you've had, marriage, weddings, funerals, everything else, always happened at that park in front of the lake. What happened to that? Why don't you have your wedding there, and then everybody will show up, Amy? Or did you forget the last time? Tammy was at that last wedding, Amy. Did you forget that? Anyway, so they show Tammy, and okay, so anyway, they go in. The doctor explains what he did. Amanda looks at her stomach. And Tammy's like, do you want to see my stomach? And Amanda goes over and looks at her, and she's like naked, you know, from the waist down. And she says, high five. Your pussy looks great, sis. That kind of cracked me up. I mean, the whole episode kind of did, but they show Tammy, and in this interview after her skin removal, I mean, she just looks incredible. She absolutely looks incredible. It makes me so happy. Like, her arms are just like, I mean, it is just unbelievable seeing her that way. And they show all these shots from like season 1. To see her now, to see where she is, you know, I mean, it's just unbelievable. They're discharging from the hospital. She thanks everybody that worked on her. And she got flowers and a teddy bear from Andrea, and she started crying. I wish they would have shown more of Andrea this season. That's the one thing I wish. She said she's nervous for Andrea to see her in person. And they leave the hospital, and they start talking about Amy's fart. Amanda and Chris said that they've always joked with each other. This is the part where they say they've always joked with each other. Tammy's pissed that Amy left and took it out on her, and she thinks she's being petty. Tammy's like, I didn't even do anything, and Amy left me. Which I totally 100% agree with her on that, right? I understand why Amy left because she didn't want to fight with them, but I also think she left because she was like pissed at Amanda and Chris, and it was her excuse to just get back home to Brian. Amy's always looked, if you look historically at the show, Florida, the cabin, Amy's always looked for a reason to have to go home early. She doesn't want to just be around, she just doesn't want to be there. What is that about? She getting back to smoking pot again? I mean, what does she need to get back for? There's always a reason, no matter it's Tammy's surgery, being on the trip to Florida. Don't you remember she made I think it was Amanda's son, drive her all the way back from Florida because the boys were out of control. I mean, it's always something with Amy. She's always got to leave. Chris and Amanda have to leave, but Tammy's going to stay in the hospital for 2 weeks to make sure she doesn't have any bleeding or infection. They got a nurse from her. Then they show the scene where Brian and Amy go to a wedding expo. She said that her family wants her to, but she's not going to cancel her wedding. I have yet to hear one family member. She says Tammy asks her to. Now she says her whole family expects her to cancel her wedding. I haven't heard one family member ask her to cancel her wedding. She said she was canceling her wedding. Has anybody in an episode heard anybody say cancel your wedding? I've not heard one person say that. In fact, I've heard everybody say they would go to the wedding if it wasn't at Waverly Hills. That's the one thing. She said she's going to do it her way. She said she wants to get married at Waverly Hills. But what if they say no, is what she says. Meaning Waverly Hills. And she's like, you always need a backup plan. And I'm like, wait a second. This is when I was like, you don't even know if you can have the wedding at Waverly Hills? You haven't even checked. You haven't called. Nothing. You're ruining relationships, and you haven't even called to see if you can even have the wedding there? Like, seriously. Okay? All right. And then, so she's telling all these people about wanting to have a haunted wedding with her, or she's wanting to have this haunted wedding. She's asking all these questions. It's a wedding expo. Let's put this in perspective for a second, okay? And they're all like, oh, blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff, right? She said people were really interested in her idea, unlike her family were. And I was like, yeah, Amy, because they're wedding planners, and they're trying to book you. They're not your friends. They're not your family. They're wedding planners. They're trying to book you, okay? They were funny, though. I love the wedding planners in this. She said she's afraid to talk around her family anymore. She said she wants to have a good welcome home for Tammy, and then she goes, I'm just curious to see how she looks. I'm just curious. It was real weird how she said that. It was very pointed. Tammy's going home, and she said her phone didn't even recognize her, which I thought was kind of cute. She hasn't talked to Amy, and so they're at Tammy's house. It's Amy, Brian, and Misty are there. Chris and Brittany come over. Amanda and Tammy pull up. Amy says that Tammy looks really good. They all say she looks really good. They show all this old footage from when it first started. I mean, it's literally, it is a testimonial to the work that Tammy has done to see her at the beginning. I mean, at one point, Misty says we couldn't even get her to walk out to the mailbox. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Amy says she wants to invite Tammy over to talk to her one-on-one about what happened in Pittsburgh. So then it flashes forward. Tammy goes over to Amy's house to talk. Amy says that it used to always be her and Tammy against the world. Tammy basically says the same thing in the end of the scene. They go in, and Amy's house is just always such a disaster, you know? I mean, it's like, I understand. I have friends of mine that have kids, but it's like every room, it's like not just the toys. It's like the pictures are crooked on the wall still. The kids are running all over the place. There's food all over the place. The kitchen's a mess. Brian's in the back room because later he comes out and Tammy confronts him. And I'm like, does this man work? Does Brian work at all? Like, where's his money come from? Like, what does he do? Because he's always just there. Like, and it doesn't say if it's a Saturday or whatever, but he's always just there. And I don't know. He doesn't seem very mature to him either. I mean, go and watch the scene when they're going to court and he's in the back seat, like hanging out over the front seat while Chris is driving. It's so weird. They're going to have lunch. Amy explains that she said something about, she was like 40 chicken nuggets and then a salad. And then she said something about, I just get a salad all day long. And then Gage just picks at it all day long. And I'm like, girl, let's just be for real, okay? Everybody's talking about how Amy has gained weight, and because she said something about in the last episode about getting her skin removal surgery, and Chris is like, she's not even at a point to get her skin removal surgery. I think the next season's going to be about that. I think it's going to be about Amy getting back on track, because she said she was going to go back and see Dr. Smith, but there was no mention of that in this episode. So they're having lunch. Amy explains that she left because they were making fun of her, and she didn't want to fight anybody. Tammy says that she took it out on her. She says she chose to leave because she didn't want to get in a fight. It just goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Amy confronts her about the video of her sleeping on the way to the airport. I didn't even really know what she was talking about at first. And I was like, what? And it was when they were going to the airport to go to Pittsburgh. And Chris said Amy was asleep. And that's when he called her the snore. He made some nickname off of her snoring. And so that Amy can fall. And then Amanda said she can fall asleep anywhere. And so Tammy took a video of her sleeping in the back seat. I was like, okay, now, Amy, you're really, like, you're considering that bullying and making fun because somebody took a video of you in the back seat. Tammy says that Amy sent a picture to the group with Glenn in a diaper around his head, like when Tammy was in the hospital with bandages all around her neck. And I was like, oh, good for you, Tammy. Come in with the receipts, babe. And she says Amy makes fun of her all the time. And she was like, if Amy had done that, she's like, if I had done that to Amy, it would have been crying and she would have been cussing. Amy says that she'll just stay away and she just won't have anything to do with any of her family anymore. Then Tammy's like, I'm not dealing with this shit, and she leaves. And she says, I'm going to step outside for a moment until she settles down. She says Amy's not taking any accountability. She said it was hard for her. She thinks it's hard for Amy to see how much weight she's lost and how she looks now. Amy gets up and talks to cameras and she goes, get those cameras off me. And she walks away. Tammy says she does not want to do this pity party baby stuff with her anymore. She's like, I'm not doing this pity party baby stuff with you anymore, Amy. She says she's tried with Amy over and over again. Tammy goes back in. She asks what's going on. Amy says she feels like she has no family. Tammy says she needs to just let it go. She says you just need to let this whole thing go. She brings up the wedding again. She says she misses her sister. Tammy goes, I miss my sister, to Amy. And Amy goes, your sister died the day that you said you weren't coming to her wedding. So it's all about Waverly Hills again. Because Tammy makes it very clear, I will come to your wedding, okay? But there is something demonic there, and I do not want it being attached to me when I leave there. So she is willing to ruin her relationship with Tammy over a wedding at a place that she doesn't even know if she can have the wedding at that place. Then she brings up Tammy. Tammy says that she feels that she already has an evil spirit attached to her. And then Amy brings up all these dolls that Tammy has, which we saw years ago, that she says are these haunted dolls. Tammy's like, they're not demonic. They have this whole conversation about these dolls. And then, what's his face comes out. Brian comes out. Tammy gets into it with him a little bit. And he just walks out. He's like, I was just checking on Amy. And then she says that Amy, and then Amy says she doesn't have any family anymore. And then that's when they show Amy at the chair. It's like the very last minute. And she says, so you lost some weight, so you think you can judge me now, right? And she goes, she needs to be taken down a couple of pegs. She goes, I'll take her down a couple of pegs. And then it ends. And that's how it ends. And that's when I looked and saw that they don't follow each other anymore. So, I mean, it did not end. Usually 1,000 Pound Sisters ends on kind of like an uplifting note. This did not. I mean, I looked back and I was like, was this really the season finale or is it on again next week? And I looked on TLC and this was the season finale. So I was kind of blown away that it ended like this. Anyway, whoo, hot season. Guaranteed for another season though, because we got to find out what happened to Amy and Tammy and if Amy's going to have her wedding at Waverly Hills. Anyway, let me know what you think about all that in the comment section below. I love you guys and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.